Okay, good evening folks. I will just read an recording meeting script before we start. Please note that this meeting is being recorded by the Town Council and may possibly live streamed on YouTube. Please note the recording device is sensitive and the live stream may be recorded by third parties, so do not say anything you do not want recorded. If necessary, I will direct all recording in the room and the live stream to be stopped. But generally I want to avoid doing that, so we will normally record everything except any item taken in closed session. Members of the public may also make their own recordings, but must follow our rules for doing so, including stopping recording when requested. Whilst we do not accept anonymous speaking at a public forum, members of the public who wish to speak do not want their names published and must indicate this before saying your piece. Item 1, apologies.
Chair, we have apologies from Councillor Miller-Jones and Councillor Page.
Okay. Item 2, declarations of interest and requests for dispensation. Anyone? Okay. Item 3, minutes of the Town Council, minutes of the meeting of the Town Council held Monday 23rd February 2026. To confirm the minutes of the council meeting held are a true record. Can I have a proposer, please? Thank you, Councillor Brown, and seconded by Councillor Ham. Can we have a vote on that, please? Thank you. Progress of actions arising from minutes not covered by this agenda. A, the C26/005C full training. Note the cost of this training would be £495 plus expenses. This has now been changed to zero.
Yes, that's correct, Chair. They've managed to find some funding for it, so it will be fully funded. So we just have to agree when. The suggestion is the week, I think, the 23rd of April. The question that's been asked is how many people, how widely do we want this to be spread in terms of who we invite? I didn't actually attend the training when some of the councillors here attended, so I should think they may be able to give us a steer, Chair, as to who ought to be attending that. If we could.
Yeah, does anybody, who went to that training? One? Just one?
I get training for work anyway, so I'll tell.
Did you ever go to the police station?
No, I didn't. No, unfortunately I couldn't go that day. I put my name down for it, but unfortunately I couldn't attend. I was in the hospital, I think.
I thought you were there.
John, who would you suggest, since you were there?
I think it was very useful. I mean, strangely, the other day I actually had a phone call from a legend to be from NatWest, British guy, British voice, probably AI generated, tapped me through, knew all my address, everything about me, and at the end he said, oh, here's the reference number, could you write it down? Which I wrote a reference number down. Then could you read it back to me? And I said, I'll read you the last 2 digits. And he got quite irate about it, and I put the phone down to me. I knew it wasn't, it was a rubbish phone number and everything else, and also the phone number was rubbish, but I think, you know, I'm tech savvy. I think other people, I think it's quite handy for people who get worried.
So in terms of when we brought this out, who do we feel we should be inviting?
What, from councillors, you mean?
Well, beyond councillors.
Oh, beyond councillors. Oh, well, I think obviously people like Stavvy, staff's own staff, I think is very handy. If we're talking about staff, I mean, generally anybody. Is it going to be online or is it going to be?
Yeah, he's coming down to deliver.
Oh, he's coming down to deliver, so you need a decent enough space to do it. I mean, we had about 3 hours, I think it was.
Head teachers of schools?
Oh, was it any?
If there is maybe not necessarily the head teacher, but if there's a relevant person at the schools, is there?
I mean, I would certainly say the
Safeguard
teachers, or if they
kind of person.
nominated somebody, then that's at least they can disseminate that
Yeah.
amongst staff. And I was just thinking community leaders within the town that can disseminate
Yeah.
information.
Yeah, there's no limit to number of people, but that's fine.
I would like it to be open to the public. Ideally, obviously there's a difference in the language and, quite how you would want a 3-hour session with all the slides we saw and all the video, but the public, it's all very well getting to 20 people or 50 people rather than the few of us who already were there.
I mean, is that something we could do?
Yeah, we can do it, obviously, I mean...
I was just thinking, depending on what people...
Upstairs?
No, but if you was to open, say, I don't know, the arts centre during the day at some point, to say people could come in and sit, and you've got up to, 200 spaces, if that was
So it's a
filled,
3-hour session, so...
you could still have a break.
Well, the 3 hours I think also included breaks, and also there was a little bit of him talk, or the two gentlemen talking to the police officers as well, so it may not be as long as that.
Councillor Mason?
I just wonder whether it's an idea to get in contact with different housing associations and see whether there's a representative from Orbit, Haverhill, or because they are in a position to disseminate the information more widely, which we might be able to encourage them to do.
I mean, just thinking on that, what you do, based on what Joe was saying, well, if you had the schools, we could be trying to push the schools to get their parents to come in, rather than it just be, we look at different ways to make it happen. We encourage the schools to do it, we encourage, as Joe just said, to get...
So if we have an invite list and then invite the public generally to fill up any of the spaces left over?
I think that works for me.
Sorry, I can't remember the guy's name.
Reg, isn't it?
Reg, I might be Reg, yeah. It might be worth just asking him what, because he was doing it at quite a high level, because he was mostly talking to police officers. So maybe you may want to ask his shout. Were you there? I think
Okay, so-
I knew there was somebody there.
So we'll just go through any other points.
No, I just suddenly realised that I had attended that meeting also. I've been to so many meetings, I forgot which ones I've attended.
Very notable. Okay, so we've just talked about the first point there. And then we've got the West Suffolk Traffic and Speeding Group.
That's on the
That's on the agenda, so we'll come back to that.
Yeah, that's on the agenda. That's been done, and that would be acknowledged, our submission.
Okay, and do we know whether or not feedback?
No, Alex Wilson, he said that they're going to collate everything. So.
Is it worth us just putting on the agenda at some point in a couple of months' time, just to make sure we know what?
Well, we can do, yeah. And that's done. And that's on the agenda.
Okay, so most of the things that we need to cover, we're going to be covering tonight anyway. Anybody else got anything regarding the minutes there? No? Excellent. Okay, we'll move on.
Do you want to?
Yeah, we have got, so if we just do jump forward to item 8, financial matters, probably, we've got Pete and Karen, Pete Betts and Karen Smith here, looking at some farm applications so they don't have to sit through that meeting, although you are more than welcome to, once you've done.
Sorry, really excited.
So we've got B, a grant application of over £2,000, Haverhill Community Sports Association Limited, new picnic benches for the patio area, total of £3,867.72. Victor, do you want to say anything on this one?
Yeah, I said to Colin I'd come along tonight just to provide some clarity around the Haverhill Community Sports Association at the moment, which is obviously the new Quaff facility, and what the new Quaff Foundation is, which is fairly new, which was incorporated shortly after the second 3G pitch was funded in the town. I think Haverhill Community Sports Association stayed as is since 2009. which is an independent, not-for-profit limited company here to provide facilities for people in the local community. Where we've grown in terms of participants and visitors and community engagement on site over the years, we've recently now established a partner, the Newport Foundation, which is a UK registered charity which is solely focused on providing health and wellbeing, education and sporting opportunities for people in the Haverhill community area. There is a crossover in terms of there's two representatives from the Community Sports Association that sit on the Newport Foundation as trustees, but the rest of the foundation trustees are all independent, local people that just want to see people gain opportunities in Haverhill. So there's people that are new trustees, such as Will Jones, who works at Arsenal, Barry McShaman, who some of you will know from Haverhill Youth Activity Trust, Tammy Ward. We've got Nick Keeble that used to work at the Town Council, obviously. So we've got a real diverse range of different people with different skill sets. In terms of the Community Sports Association, we're continuously trying to grow the facilities for people in Haverhill because demand's there. There's people of all ages, genders, abilities that want to access good facilities in the town. It was great news for the town to see investment going into Mottsfield because it offers an alternative, which was great. But ultimately, Haverhill's a growing town now when there's a real lack of facilities, and I appreciate the lack of investment from there is because of budget cuts to keep enhancing facilities. So we're trying to grow ours as much as we can. Where we've really struggled over the last few years is financially. I've shared the accounts with you all, which really, it's been tough going the last 2 or 3 years. Just to provide some clarity on that, I think there's probably only John here and Joe that might be privy. We had a £300,000 loan with the first 3G against a Red Row housing development that should have been paid out a number of years ago, but because of COVID and the delays, we were picking up a massive amount of interest that was being paid to West Suffolk Council that really knocked us. But obviously we had to make sure the business was sustainable while struggling. We managed to pay off last year, which isn't reflected in the account, from third-party investment, the loan in full, but to get back on an even footing again, we're still waiting, which we're now near the trigger point of 200 dwellings. At Christmas, the official numbers that were coming to us were 182, and I'm just waiting for some clarity from West Suffolk Council around that 200 being hit. When the 200's been hit, we'll obviously get that release of funds back into our accounts to get back onto a sustainable footing. So with the Newport Foundation, it's obviously challenging because they're reliant on local people, fundraising, grants, donations to be sustainable. They're trying to provide activities for the local community at low cost to ensure that finances are a barrier. So in terms of the applications, the community sports at the moment, we've got picnic benches in and around the hub that are now 8-9 years old that are falling to bits. And because of the various events that we have every year or every week during the year, such as obviously regular football events, community events, we support other organisations such as the Disco Kitchen and some of the good work Andy does in the community to reinvest money into local charities. Those benches are so frequently used by everyone. Obviously our mother and toddler groups, our disability groups, everybody uses them, and we're at a period now where we need to replace them because we're desperately obviously replacing them, but because we've had to invest elsewhere onto the site, we've obviously naturally been trying to run fundraising events and apply for grants to make up the shortfalls for the benches that ultimately benefit everybody. In terms of the Newport Foundation's application, that's a little bit more streamlined and specific. There's 2 areas here. Special educational needs we're really passionate about because we believe there was a lack of opportunity in the local community for people of all ages and abilities in terms of the SEM programs. We now, through small pots of funding and some of the fundraisers that we do, we now run a free of charge service at both Castle Manor with the art through Paul Gardner with regular participants attending that, and Churchill we run regular sessions every week, and we've now started doing some outreach work at Churchill where we have schools from the local area coming and run festivals. We're offering community programs as well for people with special educational needs, but where we're trying to support the schools and trying to support the local groups by offering a low-cost service, and in most cases a free service, we're relying on the grants from local organisations and people to make sure that's sustainable for the people that require it. Because I think 3 or 4 years ago, when we looked back and we had the facilities and we were doing some research, these kids in Haverhill and young adults were having to travel to Bury St Edmunds and Cornard and Ipswich just to attend a football session or to attend a health and wellbeing session, which we want to make sure we're looking after people in the local area. In terms of the tackling loneliness scheme, Sporting Memories, we run a couple of other adult groups. They are about bringing people together that are maybe lonely within their local communities, that they come together every week. We did have, for the first year, some funding to cover all the overheads from Suffolk County Council, which was fantastic, but again, appreciate what goes on with budget cuts. This year we haven't got any funding, but we don't want to stop running the group because it's had such an impact on those attending the programme. They're here every week, they love it, it's something they look forward to, they do extra activity outside of that group, and it gives people a real sense of belonging. So happy to answer any questions that anyone may have on either application, but I just wanted to provide a bit of clarity on how it all works rather than just put an application in and just wait for an answer.
Thank you, I appreciate that, and obviously we'll give the opportunity to people who've got questions in a minute. So if we take them one by one, so if we look first off at the Haverhill Sports Association Limited, which is a total of, is that the figure?
Yes.
Of £3,867.72. Do we have anybody who's got any comments or questions or clarification at this point? Councillor Burns.
Yeah. Silly question. If you've got all these thousands of people turning up, why can't you do some sort of crowdfunding?
We've done various different fundraising.
I mean, 50p on a thing would raise that money in no time at all.
There's been so many other projects and different facility developments that we've been raising money for. This has been one that's sort of been...
Okay. But obviously as a town council, shouldn't be the first person, entity to go to. You should always be other groups. Have you asked things like Suffolk Community Foundation, things like that? Yeah,
there's been various other applications and fundraising efforts gone in. We've actually covered, we're getting, we're purchasing picnic benches outside in other areas of the facility as well, outside where the football goes on, so we source funding for that. There's obviously the shortfalls now, where we're looking to obviously make sure that we're looking after all our users, is where it comes to the town council for.
Because I'm always conscious this is taxpayers' money.
100%. We've been quite conscious as well. I think sometimes, obviously, we've avoided going to West Suffolk Council and the Town Council over the last sort of 5-6 years since we appreciate budgets have been cut.
Well, I would go to West Suffolk because not only have they got locality money, but they've also got the expertise of finding other funding.
Yeah.
That's why I would go. That's all. Thank you.
Councillor Mason.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money for what is kind of more people management on site as opposed to necessarily activities. I mean, I wonder whether something like that could be divvied up with county councillor contributions, district councillor contributions. I mean, Haverhill East has 2 district councillors, but equally other councillors may want to get involved. So that, I mean, it could have been reduced on the town council ask by securing some funds through locality budgets, of which they will get renewed, certainly at West Suffolk in April, and whoever gets elected in May will have a new budget there. I'm just a little bit worried because it is a lot of money for picnic benches. They're incredibly expensive. I'm not saying it's not worthy, but it's not necessarily benefiting the users. It's more the visitors on site, and it's people management rather than activity based, which I've got some slight reservations about.
Any other points? Okay, Councillor Smith.
I don't know how much these things cost, but that did seem rather a lot to me, 12 benches. And I don't know if anybody else got any experience of what they cost, but 450, I'm guessing that's including VAT, is it?
Yeah, it's recycled plastic. It's a lot more expensive than the wooden benches that we've got at the moment, which have obviously not lasted the duration due to heavy use. So obviously this is a better spec to make sure there's a bit more longevity.
Councillor Stitchcombe.
I know sometimes they can be made wheelchair friendly by having the leg set in from the end. Do you happen to know whether what you're proposing to buy?
Yeah, I believe they are. So Tracy Thomas, our operations manager, has been focused on this project, and obviously because of the volume of people with disabilities that are now coming into the site, that's absolutely a massive consideration now with what we do.
Thank you.
Just as a question, is there a particular point you need this money by, or you want to get this money by? I'm just conscious of what Councillor Mason has said, that obviously new budgets are coming in, whether it could be held off briefly and maybe coming back to. I'm not trying to put you off, it's just something.
It's, again, whatever people think's best. I think with the weather turning now, we're coming to the spring and summer, there's so many different events and community activities we're running. We just want to provide the best possible experience for people on site. And obviously they're needing to be replaced sooner rather than later. And naturally, like anything, I appreciate that there's processes that we have to follow to, if people think it's going to be a better course of action for us to go somewhere else and then revisit and make that's absolutely fine. It's whatever you think is best.
Okay, thank you. I know it sounds all really into, but this is where we just have to be clear about where we are. Councillor Elizabeth.
I was just wondering, this question really for Colin, how much money we've got left in the grants budget?
For this financial year, £537.
Well, we wouldn't be able to do it from this year's budget anyway, it would be able to be from next year's, I think.
So do we have anybody with the... Oh, yes, sorry, I'll come to Joe Mason first because he did over briefly and then I'll come
What I
to...
was going to say was beaten by what Councillor Brown has just written on his paper, so I'm happy to second what Councillor Brown has about to say.
Yeah, people do fantastic work up there, so it's appreciated by all in this room. But what I would say is Joe was right around locality budgets for West Suffolk District Councillors. There's quite a few of us in this room. I'm sure some of us would be more than willing to top up the amount that the Town Council gave. So what I'm proposing is that if the Town Council goes with 50% of that money, and then it's going to be issued out in April anyway, wouldn't it, Colin, if it goes through? By then, the district council should have got their locality money, so if you'd like to approach any of the district councillors, I'm sure we get that money up to what you need. And that's everyone joining in.
Sorry, we won't be able to pay out in April because of the run up to the election, so it will be after May the 7th. But then equally, none of you can access it.
No, exactly, yeah. So sorry, because the election's going to be May 7th.
Councillor Mason.
I would like to second that, but I'd also say that at West Suffolk we are beginning to have the opportunity to spend in advance. So I'm definitely up for a bench from my West Suffolk locality when that renews. So I'm happy to second that proposal.
Okay, Councillor Foote.
I'm a big fan of Rose and I've done some sterling work up there and it's a great hub for the community and I always put my allocation money towards it, it was good. And I'll do the same again this year if I want some money, no problem.
So we've got a proposal and a seconder, so Tony, do you want to just be clearer so we can make sure we've got that right balance?
Yeah, so basically the Town Council will fund 50% of what Peter...
Both occasions.
Yeah,
That's to make it a round figure like 27.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of, 6 benches, and then we as district councillors get a bench each or something.
7, 5, 4. Sorry, I'm looking at the gross figure. Sorry, whatever.
Oh, sorry,
Whatever.
we're doing the first one first.
Yeah, if we do the first one first, we can separate just so we can be clear about the finances. We'll come back to that second. But so we're saying we'll pay 50% of the 3,000.
Yeah, 6 benches. Yeah.
Or whatever 6 benches.
Yeah,
6 benches.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll have a vote unless there's anybody else wants to say first. Okay. So can we take a vote on that then? Is those in favour? Carried. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
And obviously what we can do in that, if you were to contact Colin, he can give you the email addresses of the district councillors and county councillors, so you can get in touch with them and work with them.
Okay, that's great, thank you.
Sorry, Chair, just check, did you say that's inclusive of VAT?
Yeah,
In that case, we'll buy the benches and donate the benches. We can do that as a council.
Yeah.
We can.
Presumably, can you claim VAT, mate?
yeah, on community sports, so not with charity, we can't put on community sports.
No.
So you can recover the VAT anyway.
Yeah.
So we'll give you ex VAT funding. Is that ex VAT or is that inclusive?
I'll double check.
Okay, let us know.
Yeah.
Okay. So looking at the Newcroft Foundation, are you suggesting, Tony, we do a similar in terms of
Yes.
do 50% of the funding, and then the same process of you get in contact with the town councillors? Joe, are you seconding that as well?
I'm happy to, yes.
It was just, as you put it as a whole one, I just wanted to check. Paul, is there anybody else who wants to discuss that further? Yes.
There's a question around what we can fund as ongoing costs. I think it was in the notes you sent out earlier, Colin. You made a comment, I think, or you pointed out something around revenue costs and things like that. Is it something we can fund, okay?
We can fund revenue costs, but
Yes, but we need some sort of guarantee that there's could be funding in place in the future.
that wasn't this application.
That wasn't
That was
this
an
one.
application for somebody who wanted 2 months' rent.
Was it?
Yeah, and we were asking the question is where would they get the other rent from? What's the
Obviously, this is a sort of separate application. Any other points or queries? Okay, so can we take a vote on that? And those in favour of the half of the 1900? Okay, carried. Thank you very much. You're more than welcome to stay. I hope that was worthwhile. But should you want to go, this is a good point to take your leave, so it's entirely up to you. But do appreciate coming out and feeding back in. And obviously, should you have any other queries, you can always come back to Colin and we'll support you in any way you can.
Brilliant, thank you everybody.
Thank you.
Cheers. Okay, so we're going back and looking at reports. So number 5, reports from district, county councillors issue on pertinent to Haverhill and the public forum. So a police report, which again, thank you for sending that out.
Can I just add to that? Inspector Matt Paisley had left to go and work for the Police Federation. But I was told last week, which we didn't know about, last week he's coming back again. So I thought, it says on his out of office thing, it's 12 months, so I don't know whether they didn't like him or something, I don't know. So apparently he's coming back very shortly. I was told today by Henry now, police officer, not one that you know, but someone like that.
Okay.
No, I have to mention that.
Okay, any questions or comments on that? No. Okay. B, ambulance report. Councillor Stitchcombe and Councillor Brown, any comments you want to make on that?
Nice report.
I distributed a very brief report very recently. The news is that year by year things have got better. I'm sorry, I could have told you that back in January, but I haven't looked at the figures. It's still not good enough, but they are, the trend is averaged over an entire cycle of the year is getting better. And I know when we last met with the Trust, we asked them why something that is green for Haverhill in the table that's on the website is actually red in the rating for Cambridge. And the CEO agreed that it looked a bit odd and they would do something about it, or think about doing something about it, but they clearly haven't because it's still as shown in my report. So I will probably put in a fridge of information at best to try and dig out what's going on.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Councillor Brown?
Yeah, be under no illusion, those figures aren't great. It's done from sort of very bad to just bad at the moment. So be under no illusion that they're good. And meant to say to Joe, we've got to think health screening, you know, how that's progressing at all. Sorry, it's been down here, something I was just...
I don't have it on as an update. It's on the forward work programme. Whether, I think probably the sudden call of an election has probably frozen that programme.
I'm sorry, which programme is this?
The forward work programme.
Oh,
So a committee decides what topics they're going to visit going forward over the next year. So those are commitment for being on the forward work programme, but I think they've been caught on the hop as to when to actually schedule it.
Thank you. Anything more, Councillor Brown?
No.
I'm going to say thank you both of you for continuing feedback and working on that. That's fantastic. County Councillor reports. We've had Joe's report. I'm going to Councillor Mason, did you want to say anything or just take questions?
Yes, if I may, Joe, thank you. This is my last report. I'm not going to write a report in April. Duties continue, my correspondence and working with residents, but I think once the moratorium starts, it's probably, just for simplicity, not to do a full written report. I've got to say it's been an absolute honour, and I've been very blessed to have the opportunity to be a county councillor. I've tried to be accessible and I've tried to be accountable, answering any questions and those concerns. Thank you to those councillors who have corresponded with me. Thanks, Councillor Stinchcombe. Very sensible emails regarding the bad pothole on Burton End, which currently has a temporary filling. They are going to come back and do a proper filling later. Thank you for that. I've managed to push through some additional wins. Councillor Brown, some time ago, Chancellor's Arm asking me if we could have a crossing on Suffolk Reginald Way. We're going to get a signalled crossing. There was a press release. It is a major bit of investment as part of the active travel. There is more on the plan of stuff that both David and I would like to see, but just in terms of packaging up, those were the only two that they could release pre-election. The zebra crossing on Haverhill Road will essentially mean that there's a proper crossing point now all along the length of Railway Walk, which a number of residents have raised issues with. So I think that's a good win. I make it really clear it's not a win for me, it's a win for residents, because it was residents and people like Councillor Brown that first raised it. It wasn't really on my radar unless those residents and Councillor Brown have mentioned that. So that is a really good win. Other than that, I think it's important, mostly because I may not be in position in May, but I have it in writing, but Withersfield Road will be resurfaced in the 2026-27 financial year, as will Downs Crescent, which I'm sure will come as a great relief to the residents of Downs Crescent. I'm still waiting for some drop curves to go in on Clements Close. I asked for those to be done in the summer of last year. They were meant to go in last week, and Milestone haven't yet come back to me with an update. I'll let Councillor Roach speak about the block paving on the High Street. Potholes generally, it's been pretty grim. It's been a bad season, certainly. People may choose to disagree with me. I've been actually deeply impressed with highways. My communications with them have been positive. Certainly, Essex, Cambridgeshire and Suffolk have been having to probably fix more potholes than I can think of, certainly in my time as a councillor. And indeed, I think Essex and Cambridgeshire have had it worse, which is pretty grim, because I know we've had some bad cases in Haverhill. But if you go to Stirling or 6 Mile Bottom or even Hills Road, I think you'll be absolutely horrified at the state of the roads outside of Suffolk. So I'm very appreciative of the highways locality officers and the highways team, who were very patient with me when I'm phoning up, moaning and trying to get things expedited, but Councillor Stinchcombe has pushed in my direction. Yeah, all I can say is, as a county councillor, all we can do is chase those concerns that residents and councillors raise with us, and we do that to the best of our ability. Do we need more money in highways? Absolutely, absolutely. Highways know how to fix roads. That's not in question. We need the funding, whoever the administration is, to actually deliver a highway service that can respond more quickly. And I think that's probably the thing that I'm most passionate about. When you get those tyre killers, what we want is not a delay of days. We want a quicker response. Small defects are annoying, small potholes are annoying, but it's the bad ones that damage cars. That's the challenge for highways going forward, to try and get those quicker response times. I'm just going to have a quick look through. Had a chat with Tim Passmore. Blue Lights Club is still progressing. It's still very early stages, but West Suffolk are now got hold of that and they're working on it. I haven't got an update on EV charging, Councillor Stinchcombe. I was hoping for an update. If I do get an update, I'll share it with you and other councillors. And the good news is, it's something I've been lobbying for a really long time, and Colin, you've been involved in this, is we've now got a sketch and a design for the community room that I've been lobbying for attached to the school on the Persimmon site. I was only ever 50% or less than that sure whether that could ever happen, but they seem to think that the design that they've got, they can fund within the funds they actually have, so it actually looks like that could be delivered, which is actually really quite exciting for that bit of the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we come to Councillor Oakes, Councillor Allen?
Yeah, thanks for that, Paul. Very comprehensive. I noticed Councillor Stinchcombe's up Kent Road I drove past him, so that's how I know, taking notes of the potholes. There's one particular one outside the shop that I don't know if it's been done temporary or what.
Temporary.
Oh right, it's sunk enormously again. And it's, I don't know, is it a week since it's been done?
Less than.
Or whatever. So let's just report that really. Okay, thank you.
Councillor Mason, just
you're right, it has some. I phoned through, it was quite a hot telephone call because I'd actually asked for that to be, Councillor Stinchcombe, I think, had emailed me nearly 2 weeks beforehand, and I had assumed, but having raised it, that it would have been done. The response I got was it had been assessed but had been put on a 20-day working order. I took some photographs, dropped my keys in it, took a photograph, the keys give it proportion as to how deep it is. And they said, oh yes, it has dropped since it was being assessed, and we'll get somebody over there and put in a temporary filling. They couldn't have had enough on the back of a van because it was depressed almost immediately. I have been promised it is. What it is safer than it was. But it is going to get a proper fix, hopefully sooner rather than later. But these sorts of things we're not in control of. We just have to hold high risk to account.
When you said there was the 20 days for the permanent fix?
So it was 20 days from when it was reported, and so it's now got temporary filling. So I'm seriously hoping it's not going to be another 20 days.
What I meant was when they said the 20 days for the work order, was that for a permanent fix? It wasn't just...
Oh yes, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Rowe, oh, sorry.
Sorry, before Councillor Oakes, I've got a question for Councillor Oakes as well. Actually, that pothole was asked to be brought in because the guy doing the splash pad hit it. And he said, I thought I'd burst my tyre. It was very short. And I popped up there and have a look. So that's
quite deep.
Yes, it is.
I went past it today. Missed it.
We obviously have things like the roundabout at the end of Couples Road on Chalkstone Brae there, where it's just been damaged so much, with presumably lorries or buses or whatever going over it. But reported ages ago, nothing's been done there. I mean, my personal view is just lower it down, don't have the raised on it, like you've done like in the Plumstead Road, for example. I look at YouTube stuff and technologies out there. I wish they would get together and do some of the stuff they do in Germany and Holland and some of these places. You mentioned about crossings and all this sort of stuff, and thanks for your report, by the way, because it was very comprehensive. Today I reminded Redrow that I'm still waiting for an answer on the traffic lights at the end of Chalkstone Way. I did send them an email 3 weeks ago and they haven't come back to me. We want to know whether the things with Suffolk County Council, whether it's with Redrow or what's happening, because the disaster that is Ratting Road at the moment, Cadet, I mentioned the Council Roads, they should have finished the Milford Way closing on Friday, it's still shut. The permit's run out. Why are you still there? And in number of people, it was queued back on Chalkstone Way to beyond the Donovan Way roundabout, where the new roundabout is. I mean, that's how far it was queued back. It's ridiculous. Just mention it.
I'll give a chance to respond.
A lot of that is on David's patch, so I'll let him respond.
No, that's what I was
respond to
about
that.
David about something.
And as you were talking, please forgive me everybody, but there were two things that I didn't include in my report that slipped my mind. Firstly, the library and the accessible toilet. Persimmon's trigger point has now happened where the funding can be released for the accessible toilet in the library. I was hoping to have another barnstorm of announcement to make today. I'm still waiting on whether that toilet is now confirmed. As far as I'm concerned, there's no good reason for it because that funding can be used, and we have few accessible toilets in the centre of town. That one would be particularly welcome. And my final thing, which I should have mentioned, was to thank the councillors around the room who've been involved in the Great British Spring Clean. At the end of the day, there was 123 bags of waste, which is both horrific and inspiring. Inspiring because that's volunteers giving up their time to improve Haverhill. And a huge shout out to the staff at the Zone, who in one sitting did 29 bags, which was a wonderful effort. So thank you to all those councillors. I think Tony enjoyed it so much, he's doing it again this Saturday.
Great today, yeah.
Thank you. Just before we come to Councillor Smith and just on potholes, one of the things that Joe did set out was the link to report these things. And I think maybe we could all perhaps put it on Facebook and just remind the public, please use this link. Because it isn't just down to us, it isn't just down to Joe. I did have a discussion with people on Facebook about this because they think it's our job and other people's jobs. And a councillor should be constantly driving around, actually spotting them and reporting them. And then to say, look, you can report them yourselves, and actually our job is to support you beyond that if you have a response, particularly the county councillors. Is it something we could also advertise on our website, the link, just to remind people?
We certainly could do. It's on the digital boards around town at the moment.
Right, okay. But just something we could do is just put it on Facebook.
There's a who does what on our website.
Councillor Smith.
I was going to mention it is on the digital boards as you go around town. The other thing is, going back to the roads, sorry, half on back roads, you'd be glad to hear it's not potholes, it's the opposite. It's the speed bumps along Chalkstone Way. I mean, whose job is it to, the rubber ones, whose job is it to repair those? Because they're a bit dangerous. I think they need to be looked at. There's other sections that are missing.
Half of them missing.
Do we know, is that under a...
It's under highways. You can put it on the reporting tool as well.
Yeah,
What they tend to, sorry I'm jumping in, but what they tend to do sometimes is they, instead of putting new rubber bits back on those humps, they just fill them in with asphalt and they just then break up and disappear. And you still end up with the sharp edges. So it is on the radar. I regularly go around with the highway engineer. One of the things I do is have a drive around town with the highway engineer and try and pick up stuff that doesn't necessarily get picked up.
So as we are with you, do you want to just...
I will start as it's my swan song, because as you know I'm not standing in May, I'm done, I'm finished. I have across the three councils 13 years, I think, from first being co-opted onto town council and then being elected to that and then West District. It's been a real pleasure and it's not something I would ever thought I was going to do, and I have. And I think, proud to say, that 2 years as mayor for town, absolutely brilliant. We got loads of stuff done that we've never done for. We're taking First Armed Forces Day, and my favourite photograph is that one John took in your scout car in full dress. That's still my favourite picture. Highlights, I suppose, getting the recycling centre done. That was first. I first secured funding for that, or at least the idea of the funding for it back in 2017 when I first got onto county. It took a little bit of time to get it done, a bit of wobble on the way when they were worried about funding art during COVID, but we have got it over the line, and I think I'm really chuffed with having got that done. When I first got elected to county, they said, what is the one thing as a councillor you'd like to get? And I said, I want the recycling centre done. And we were going through a leadership challenge as well at the time, so both candidates for leader of county council promised me, so I was on a winner. The other thing that was a success was getting at least the top half of Chalkston resurfaced on all the side roads when they said it can't be done because it's concrete and we don't want to asphalt it again. And getting them stripped and redone, I think, was a triumph. There's been so many things. Localities, I've just put a little chart in my report which I think Colin will circulate to, but I've split out just for county the number of things that I've been able to fund in town and the total money, so it's sort of over 50,000 across 53 different routes, and that's without the locality funding that we spend on different subjects, or county-wide or a bit. This is just between things in town. So I'm really pleased we've been able to do that, because that's, I think, you'll know, especially on district account, that's the one thing, having that pot of money to spend is a real privilege, and it does make a difference. So I think that's been a highlight. So many things. I will be sad to be standing down. I shall also be happy to stand down.
It's still not too late to get your application.
It's going to be a change with new unitary coming in, whatever form that is. It's going to be different. There will be opportunities, I think, within that for town councillors that are proactive like this one to take on more if they can and they want to. So I think there'll be some opportunities. But I just want to say to everybody, thank you for the support. I think across all the councillors we've had over the years, we've all got on. I think everybody does this because they want to make their communities better. And it doesn't matter what political persuasion you are or whatever. I think we've all worked together and done a really good job for Haverhill. I think we've raised the profile and that's it. So I'm sad to be going, but I wish you all the very best, and I'm always available to help. Yeah, as long as it's not onerous, I don't have to actually do any physical work. But that's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Will you be at the next?
Yeah, well, you've got April. You just do the committees and sort out for mayor making, and then you've got mayor making in May, haven't you?
Will you be here for that meeting?
I will come to mayor making, yeah. And the April one as well.
But just wondering, yeah, there's things I was going to say, but I think if we'll leave it.
I can come. I'm always happy to be invited and to come along.
Thank you. Councillor Mason?
Two things, so we can come back after my first question, if you don't mind, Chair. The High Street.
Oh, yes, sorry. Right, okay, so last county council meeting, I still had a little bit of money left in my highways pot, and I had been trying to save it because I was looking at trying to get things like a zebra crossing up by McDonald's, because it's a mess and whatever, but that's a huge amount of money, so I had to spend it. So what I've agreed with highways and with Joe is that we'll move that money into the pot to do some of the block paving in the high street. So I think about £16,000. So that should do the majority of the high street block paving that needs doing.
Thank you.
So yeah, I just want to give my thanks to David. Obviously he's a fellow Tory, about many of us left nowadays. You've been a really good colleague, experienced, offering good counsel, good advice. I know I'm certainly the better counsellor having worked with you. So thank you, David. Thank you for coming to Town Council, giving reports. Not all councillors do come and give reports, but thank you, and it's been a pleasure working with you.
Thank you.
Councillor Burns?
Yeah, well, I'm not going to do it back here next week. Okay, next month I'll do it, but I might have some compromising videos of you when you remember. just be wary of that. In terms of the high street, I was a little bit surprised from your report, Councillor Mason, about the fact we've had to use your locality money to do this, because I picked some elderly lady up out of one the other day, and to me that's a safety issue which highways really should be fixing out of the budget. It shouldn't be anything. It may not be HMOP, but when it's a safety thing like that, I really think they should get off their backsides and do that sort of stuff. I mean, look at that cone on that thing outside Chapman. It's been weeks.
Weeks.
But I was going to just change the subject slightly, go back to the speed humps. 26th of January, they were reported. 17th of March, it was closed. Works already ordered. So it took them 2 months to actually go out and inspect them, which I don't think is particularly very good, because what's been said is, you know, especially one side where it goes up, it exposes those metal bars that are in there, and I'm surprised people haven't punctured tyres on it. To just replace it with asphalt is awful. So if you could G them up a bit, because I don't know what the timescale is.
Okay,
It just says works already.
I'll have a shout at him.
And it says, obviously, the job is now closed, which I never understood. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or points? Councillor Furr.
You said, we've got 3 county councils, haven't we?
Yes.
I've never seen Heike come along the meetings or do anything at all. I mean, is she still active or?
Well, as far as I'm aware, she is.
Just a question.
I won't say any more, because I think if we see you next month, we can say more to you then and make it more formal if we're at that point. But I do appreciate you coming, as we have actually it's made a difference.
I'll tell you the biggest thing that's really frustrating is sitting here, having been there, and wanting to take part and jump in, and it's so difficult sitting here and not being able to take part. But I think you have afforded me a lot of attitude in some meetings, so I thank you for that.
Town council elections are next year.
Yeah, don't tell Sue.
Okay, so that's the County Council report, and again, thank you, Councillor Mason and Councillor Roach, I really appreciate it. District councillors, anything we want to add regarding anything going on in the district? Councillor Mason.
It's controversial, but we've got an amendment over the line of the budget where we've got parking for the first hour free. I've been asking for an update regarding its implementation. I think there are some technical issues regarding the Ringo app and some of the equipment they're going to be installing. It's a 2-year project. I'm glad it's over the line. We will actually know with data whether actually we can drive footfall by trying to encourage people in. And I think that has to be a step forward, because just being told no, because it costs too much, prevents the opportunity of actually finding out whether the Erin House and Way issue, where footfall is excellent at Tesco's, Aldi, Lidl, and Home Bargains, and yet we seem to struggle on the high street, and having free parking, which is available everywhere else on Erin House and Way, even if it's just for 1 hour, hopefully we'll be able to evidence that there is a pop into town culture. And thank you to all those councillors who supported that amendment. Thank you.
Okay, any other points on this? Councillor Brown.
Yeah, normal stuff, but a couple of things that stand out. I was told the other day that the entrance for Stirling Road Service Station has now been agreed to the section 278, sorry. Yeah, so 278 agreement has now been signed by all the parties, and so that will be getting started soon. So we'll no longer hopefully have tankers right across the forecourt. So that's a good one. And when I was out yesterday in the wildlife park in Milford's Way, walking around, there's a long flight of steps that I came across that was in a terrible condition. I reported that, and they came back today to say that they agreed and they're going to get them replaced as soon as they can after April. So yeah, they're not very good. So
Thank you.
that's just a couple of things.
Councillor Elizabeth?
Yeah, just to report the eco vendor machine at the leisure centre hasn't been working for a while. I visited there the other day, David, and it wasn't working, so I spoke to the staff member there who said that various things have come together to mean that it's not going to be fixed for a while, but I did chase it up with Jan Jarvis, Councillor Jarvis, and he said he's going to chase it. He thinks it should be done this week, and he's going to chase that. I'm also in talks with Jan to get to look at getting another one in the town. So we have spoken about it a while ago. So as part of the Environment and Sustainability Committee, I want to start trying to move that forward.
Thank you. Councillor Allen?
Yeah, just to let everyone know that Lower Down Slade has been resurfaced by West Suffolk Council. I hope there wasn't too much inconvenience. I think they've done it very speedily. It looks much better now, I must admit, since it's been done. The lines are much brighter and everything. I just hope that they do Jubilee Walk car park very soon as well, because that looks very dull and horrible. It really needs doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Councillor?
Just on that side, I've got to put hats off to West Suffolk Council for Lower Down Slade. The quantity of disabled bays makes it far more accessible, not just for Peas Market, but also if you're wanting to attend Haverhill House. I think the layout, I know councillors were involved in the discussions regarding the layout. I think it looks I think it's a big upgrade, a big improvement.
Thank you.
So it's got just jumping on highways again. Councillor Mason and I have been badgering them about white lining for the town and whatever, so they're supposed to do a cut back on the bypass and reline it. I noticed last week they'd done the bit between Hazelstub and Homefield Road. They've white lined that. They haven't done the others. I spoke to Highways today and they said, well, we didn't know they'd done that either. It's scheduled to be sometime in April to do that, so we have been trying, but all the white lining is banned in town. We have been banging on about getting it. And again, they've done one on Herringhausen Way, but not the others. Don't figure. If you've got a crew out doing it, why not do the whole lot?
Thank you. Okay.
And with your permission, Mr. Mayor, I'll slope off.
Yes. Thank you. Town Councillor's matters to report. Anything anybody wants to raise? Councillor Gazette.
Thank you. And I've no desire to make this in any way political, but several residents have expressed to me their serious concern with the comments made last week by our Member of Parliament, Timothy, where he described Muslims praying in Trafalgar Square as an act of domination. We know as a council that use of Trafalgar Square for public worship goes back many, many years by many various different religions. Muslims make up about 6% of the population of the UK and much less in Haverhill. We're very lucky to have a mosque here, who I note on their website say that they uphold their values of peace, compassion and unity that are at the core of Islam. Indeed, our neighbouring town of Newmarket is economically dependent on the horse racing industry, which is supported by Muslims ranging from the Aga Khan down to the most humble stable hand. I would invite us as a town council to consider how we can reassure our Muslim neighbours that they are a welcome and cherished part of our town and our community, and that we don't stand with those who wish to sow the seeds of division.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I have asked Vicky previously to see if we can get in touch with them just as Mayor visit. We haven't had any response from France.
What's that for?
To visit the Muslim community.
No, I haven't.
No. So we have tried, but I will see if we can try again. Any other matters to arise? Councillor Burns.
Just an update on the Strasbourg Square car park. The businesses did complain to West Suffolk and didn't get any joy out of the parking side of things, but they went to property because that's who their leases are with. And the leases specifically say, as I've said many times before, the car park is actually only for customers of the business and the community centre. It was for a pub when it was a pub, but not anymore. But what's happened is we know CP has forced all those people off from where they live into that car park, for a free car park. I saw, in my report, I showed you a photograph. There were 3 spaces on Saturday morning at 9 o'clock in the morning. But today the property people say they're going to put signs up at the beginning to explain to people how they're allowed to park there. But I know Councillor Brown, we suggested during the planning application for this site that we do the same thing as Morton Hall, in that they put a parking machine there that people have to get. You can stay for 3 hours, but after that you can get ticketed. Not overnight, but like say 8 in the morning till whatever. Then you can do that. So.
Well, the business is sort of trading basically.
Yeah, I know you've had problems parking there, but it's bad enough with the closure of Billfields Way, where businesses are suffering like mad. And I'm not talking about the one that I'm associated with, I'm also talking about the one next door as well. I'm not declaring any interest because I don't have any interest in it, but it's just annoying to see all those vehicles parked there all the time, not taking into account all the customers who try to go to the shops. Many of them are only there for 5 minutes, just going to like the Premier Convenience store. Just to let you know an update on that. If I may just carry on, obviously the splash pad we're hoping it will be fixed for Friday. I don't think it will open for Easter because we then need to get the water tested. That can take us 2 weeks, and we missed the Easter side of thing. Even though the water's been flushed, it has been chemically treated and everything else. I think it's about it for an extra on my one. Thank you.
As we haven't got any members of the public, we'll just move on from there. Then on to my report, which you did have late, my apologies. It's not full of stuff, as unfortunately I will say I have had some space for and had to miss some, which I apologise for. Yeah, it's not been the busiest of times, so it's not been loads and loads. But I will just want to say, and I spoke to Colin about it, this was quite interesting. I was invited to go to the Methodist Church. They were having an environmental service, and it was really interesting because some of the early guest speakers was something, it was Eco Church, but an organisation called UK Rocker. Now, it's nothing to do with the fact that this was a church, but more the fact that it was a fantastic structure as what their communities could do to improve the environment, whether it's to do with what we put on the roof, solar panels, that's the word I'm looking for, or whether it's you're looking at verges and things and improving the environment there, or not cutting grass, loads of things they were suggesting, and activities and things for people to do. And they were also looking at awards for it, and what I said to Colin, it'd be nice to see if we could do something as a town. I don't know if there is anything, but I will put it through the environment energy sustainability group to see it. But it was, if anyone wants to look at it, it was just a really good platform to really look at what you can do without being, let's say, an environmental warrior, so we've got to do this, but it was just lots of small things that could be done, and it was fantastic. So anyway, we'll move on. Well, unless anyone's got any questions, which I'm not sure a question about, but okay. So number 7, One Haverhill Partnership. A report from the clerk, board meeting, report and wellbeing hub update. So, Colin.
I don't, well, to be honest, the other two cover it. I don't think there's anything else to say about the One Haverhill Partnership apart from the next two. Do we have a board meeting?
1 April, wasn't it? 1 April.
Yeah, so it's next month is the board meeting. And so the wellbeing hub, the official opening will be on Friday the 15th of May, and you'll get invites for that, and then there'll be an open day for the public on Saturday the 16th, which will coincide with the food festival, and they'll take part in that. In terms of actually opening, in terms of the service it's providing, it opened as a warm space from the middle of February and is still going strong. Really pleased to see we did get people in. I didn't think we would get anybody really, but we did get people in, and they really liked it and stayed and kept coming back. And the people who came to the warm space here have also now joined them down at the Wellbeing Hub. And they asked, knowing that this one has stopped, the people who did not know each other before asked if they could keep meeting, because they found it really useful. They didn't know anybody else in town, and they'd made a friendship group. So I've talked to the Suffolk Community Foundation, and they've kindly provided some more funding so we can continue to keep them fed and watered down at the Wellbeing Hub. So that's already, in terms of wellbeing, already an immediate win, which is great. We have a men's group starting down there as well. That started beginning of the month, and we will have the various organisations that are going to work out of there will start coming in from the beginning, the beginning of the second week of April. They'll start taking up their space there. If you get a chance to pop in Tuesday to Friday until it opens, then yeah, just knock on the door and say hi to Joe and Phoebe there and see what they've done with the place, or come along on the 15th of May. It's 15th of May because of course we can't hold the opening during the election run-up, because so many councillors have supported the Wellbeing Hub, so we'll hold it on May the 15th.
Is it still 2 to 4 time?
There hasn't been any time set up.
That's what it was the last day.
That's what I was last.
Stick with it. We'll let you know if anything
I can make an
changes.
afternoon, but I can't make a morning. It hasn't been confirmed. Okay.
Just technically on that, on the 15th of May, I will still be vice chair of the county council, because we don't give up our office until the first AGM. So there are two of us of the old left, the chair and the vice chair, hand over office on the AGM of the new council in May. So I'm still about as vice chair.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
and I'll leave you with one passing thing. It was always a sad thing that I could never get over the line as mayor, was to get Colin in the robes and the wig.
The wig Kerry go for.
He threatened me with bodily thing when I asked him.
Yeah. With that, I'll say good night.
Thank you, take care.
Good night.
Thank you. Councillor Mason.
Thank you, Chair. It's sometimes hard to say things and it not come across as a criticism, and it really, really isn't. Stow Review as itself right now, it doesn't smack of a community facility. It's not particularly inviting people in. Have we got a plan for signage dressing the building?
We do, but those haven't gone up yet because we're not open to the public in terms of people dropping in for the wellbeing services. But Joe Dexter is busy organising that with Joe and Phoebe down there. So you're absolutely right, yeah. It's still, from the outside, you wouldn't really know it's changed. You might notice that the window that had a grill over it stuck out into Grand Passage. Now it doesn't have a grill over it and doesn't stick out into Grand Passage, but those are very minor things. So yeah, Councillor Mills Jones was busy organising stuff for the to pretty up on the outside, so it will look like that.
Brilliant, thank you. Councillor Jones.
Yeah, sorry, we saw my report that I've been doing stuff up there. Can I just reconfirm? I was told 7th of April is one of the, I think that must be straight after Easter, I think.
Yeah, beginning of the second week, yeah.
Yeah, is that everybody going in there? Is that or just that one?
No, it's not everybody. Although they've given notice on their premises, I think that Turning Point are working through a process with their users. So they've told them that they're moving, but they're not jumping.
So
they are trying to organise with West Suffolk to be let out of their lease early.
Okay, I know about Reach. Is there anybody else going? The only reason is I won't have the Wi-Fi boxes till probably sometime that week.
I don't know the...
No, they did tell me that, but I didn't know whether I forgot to ask whether it was all or one. Okay.
And it is fantastic that we are that close to opening from an idea and a concept to here we are. So let's hope it goes as well as we'll go. And thank you for your work and everybody else's on it. Right, point 8, financial matters. To authorise the payment list as below. Can I propose, please, Councillor Burns, seconder, and Councillor Smith. And can we have a vote on that then, please? That's carried. Thank you very much. We've done the grant applications. Moving on to 9, IT policy. For the members to adopt the Town Council's updated IT policy, which people have been shown. Can I have a proposer? Sorry, you've got a question.
Yeah, can I make some comments first?
Yeah, of course. My apologies, I should have just dropped.
An apology, Colin, for bringing it up now. I've only read it today, but a few things. 2.2.
Hang on a sec.
Sorry.
You are criticising me.
I'll add a few more bits in that.
This was all schools.
So are you on the data protection policy or staff data?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, IT.
IT.
The IT policy. Okay.
2.2, the bring your own device. Personally, I wonder if this is actually too broad. We're basically saying that you can use any personal device. Nowadays, that's a lot more limited in companies. You wouldn't tend to allow people to use things like their own laptops. Normally, it would just be bring your own device for mobiles. It poses a massive security risk. I know we say about things like antivirus should be enabled, up to date, etc. But we have no way of monitoring this whatsoever. So my personal opinion is that this should be taken out. It should only be mobile phones for email access, nothing more. The rest should just be on a council-owned device.
Sorry, Councillor Green, is that?
I've got a few more.
Okay.
2.2.12, it says use a VPN. I presume this means use the council's official VPN. I think that should be specified because it makes it sound like that if I'm accessing council websites or files, that I should download a free VPN service and start using it, which would actually be insecure.
I look to your right.
No, that's
one,
fine. I mean, you know, that's what it was intended to mean, was one that we specified, because it will only use our servers that are authenticated. We won't allow anyone else to get in without that authentication.
And then 4.1.2. It says not to share passwords under any circumstances, but I don't believe that will always be the case. You know, we use things like Instagram and X here, where you can't add more than one user onto those services, so passwords would have to be shared. So I think there should be some kind of inclusion in that policy to allow that to happen. One thing that we might want to say, especially with things like Instagram, X, is we use a social media manager, and that maybe a limited number of people should actually know the passwords for the original or the actual accounts, and that they should use the social media manager wherever possible.
So if we reverse where it says passwords are personal, we say personal passwords must not be shared, because we're not talking about personal passwords.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't, if I may just, you know, this is really about using company facilities, not third party, like Instagram and stuff like that.
Okay.
That's what it was specifically for. Anyway,
So is that worth, sorry, on saying that, is that worth clarifying now?
yeah, it can be, yeah.
Because obviously I think what Councillor Green said is quite important, particularly as a threat. If you're using third party, it's very different to something that is then just business related.
Well, things like Facebook, Instagram, whatever, X, whatever, you know, as Councillor Green says, we use the company that's called the shared system that then allows them to post to various different sites at one point. But I'm not involved in those. I don't get involved in their passwords. I don't, you know, it's all handled by particularly our marketing people, and they will just go and, you know, if there's a, I don't know, one of these weird, wonderful things, Snapchat or the other thing, say TikTok, yeah. But they don't connect to our systems. They are being used on our systems, of course, but they're not actually connected to our servers or anything like that.
Councillor Creedy.
Then it also says on that point, provide a copy of passwords to the clerk, which is good. But then also in the policy, it talks about enabling multi-factor authentication and using a personal phone for that. I think it should also say provide a copy of the password to the clerk along with the multi-factor authentication backup keys, because otherwise, if a person leaves the organisation, although we might have the password for the account, we won't be able to get in because we don't have the authentication code.
If I may just say, it does say earlier on, MFA should only be where possible.
Yes, but if it is enabled where it's possible and we don't have the backup key, we're
Yeah, but
stuck.
on the admin one, we don't tend to use MFA for that reason. Anyway.
And then
Next number.
4.1.3, it says the password should be stored using a council-approved password manager, info available from the clerk. Just wants the question, do we actually have one at the moment or not?
John, do you?
And if not, I think it's a really good idea, and that solves the issue that I was saying about shared accounts and MFA, because if we have a proper password manager, we can set up MFA within that, and you can set up backup accounts. If someone needs the organisation or something happens to them, we can regain access to all those codes. And then,
Sorry, so Councillor Burns, do we have one?
Not specifically. Individuals may have things like KeyPass and all the other different types of systems that are around there. A lot of this stuff came from NALC or SALC? NALC. So it's all stuff that NALC have said should be done. There's, by the way,
Yes, it seems to be going to be a long list. Could we actually have a little meeting about and bring it back to next council?
I've got three more.
there's an extra bracket on the end of that, but
just a few things I thought were missing. There's no mention of using AI, which I think should be included. Shadow IT, so it mentions that not using things like Dropbox, but doesn't actually talk about using kind of unapproved online apps where someone might be putting in council data, also relates to the AI. And then also I think it should include just something about training. I think we should start doing annual cybersecurity awareness. That's all.
Thank you for that. Councillor Burns. Brown.
what's your name?
No, all it was that was something I picked up with my limited IT skills. I was just going to say, given that councillors and staff are permitted to use their own personal devices to access council systems, what specific controls and enforcement mechanisms are in place to ensure that sensitive council data is actually protected on those devices in practice? But I think Aaron's covered all that.
Councillor Brown, is that?
That's it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Short and sweet.
Councillor West.
I might be pedantic, so I'm just looking for clarification. You were talking about devices that can access the network. For me, it's a bit inconvenient if I can't use either my district laptop or my county laptop for work purposes. So
There might just need to be a split there. That I think there's probably a different policy needed for councillors and employees of the council, because what we can access as councillors is a lot more limited to what an employee of the council can access. We can't access the server here. No. We can only access things like our email.
Councillor Mason? Councillor Mason, is that?
Well, I just wonder if that can somehow be differentiated. But I mean, if it's just accessing the internet connection so we can access our email, then that should be fine.
Councillor Burns, did you want to respond?
Yeah, I'll give you an example. The wireless access point is one outside here. If you're logged on to Haverhill Art Centre, it will not allow you anywhere near the rest of the network. It's actually physically blocked upstairs in VLANs. Of course, this, Joe public coming into the cafe using their laptop will access the Wi-Fi, but they've got the same restrictions. So in terms of, let's say, West Suffolk as an example, we had to set up a separate SSID. You'll probably see it if you look at West Suffolk, because they demanded that it had to be password protected, or you use password protection, and they wanted that. So that is completely separate as well. And it only works in that cafe area. It doesn't, or that one there. If you went upstairs, it probably wouldn't pick it up. So yeah, this is more to do with, as it says, councillors, employees, contractors. It doesn't really refer to people just using the system, accessing the systems.
Sorry.
So I was just saying, Jay, I appreciate Councillor Burns set up that, but actually West Suffolk didn't demand it. We kindly agreed. West Suffolk asked whether or not they could have a separate access point, and Councillor Burns kindly did all the actual technical stuff to set it up, no doubt meeting the various security they needed, but we were very happy to oblige them so that they can come and work in here and they can access West Suffolk through a secure thing just for West Suffolk.
Councillor Smith.
Section 5, talk about monitoring. Can I just ask who does the monitoring?
Which one are you monitoring?
Section 5.
Well, I think I'm right in saying, Councillor Burns, actually the system has loads of records. All your computers, all your devices are all very carefully writing down everything you've done, and we have the right to actually look at that if necessary.
Yeah. The other thing is, obviously, we rely a lot on Councillor Burns' expertise. This is no slight on you. I mean, Will and World's not going to be here forever.
No.
If I might have, is there any sort of succession plan for some employee of the council?
I don't know. We got that
is that expertise to be able to, step in.
Councillor Burns shares with me all of the main passwords, etc., so that if he and the double-decker bus had an argument, then we would be able to recover from that situation. So it's not reliant just on him. We do have expertise within the council, as we've just heard from Councillor Ligherini. We've also got tech staff who are, have degrees in computer science and are often seen assisting Councillor Burns with all the fittings, etc. And of course we can simply go to an outside IT company because we're not locked out of anything. Even if I've got a bunch of passwords for things I have absolutely no idea how to work, I can hand those to somebody who does. So we could transfer everything from Councillor Burns to somebody else if necessary.
Okay. You look bad,
Councillor Smith, is that?
Just tell the bus not to go.
Yeah, I'll keep the council for a moment. Yeah.
Any other points on this one? I'm not sure whether we can vote on it based on the amount of changes that we're suggesting. Is it worth bringing it back?
I'm kind of thinking the same thing. Do councillors feel that, subject to the amendments that have been given, you feel you could actually vote to pass this, or do you want to come back and see?
My suggestion would be is that to try and get our heads around it, because there was a lot that Councillor Regan said. My first thoughts are we need to re-see it. Councillor Mason.
Could we have the original text as is, but red-lined, so that we can see where the changes are in the text? So that we can try and absorb it. Because if you just give us a replacement text, it will be hard to spot. So a red-line text would be appreciated.
Yeah.
So, Councillor Brown.
Yeah. Are we under any time constraints for this, or can we wait until?
No, it would be nice to have, but it's in train, so that's absolutely fine. We are, obviously, we've all got an eye on the Assertion 10 for the annual audit, but the fact that it's actually clearly given, and it will actually be hopefully in place in April, so that will be fine. I wondered whether Councillor Reaker really had a similar number of comments on the staff one, in which case with the same thing might want to apply first.
I've only got 2 comments.
I mean, so we'll say first off, are we happy? That will come back to us for us to look at another time, yes. So we'll agree on that one. And then what I would say is, before we come to Councillor Greeley, do lots of people have any other points regarding the staff data protection policy? Is there a lot of comments on that at this stage? Okay, Councillor Greeley.
Again, I wonder if AI should be included in this one. And then my only other comment was there's a section about that we don't transfer data outside the EEA. I'm not sure that's entirely true because we use 365 for our emails. Although the data might reside in the UK, there's a very high chance that it is processed outside of the UK and outside of Europe. So I think we need to make that clear.
Yeah, although it is one of the companies that's is okay as far as as processing data is concerned, isn't it?
Yes, data would still potentially go to like America, for example.
Yeah, it's where it goes in America, isn't it? And going to Microsoft is okay.
Yes, just whether we should say that line though, that
so
we don't
just need to
transfer.
correct that.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. Okay. Anything else that we want to say?
Just very quickly, I think I want to reiterate this came from Malk, so it was very much there. Well, I think he was really just referring to that town council, so I never wrote it. And obviously there's things missing, but I think you're right. I think we need to get those changes put in now. I never thought about AI, for example. I do use AI, but not necessarily for council work. I do it for my programming skills. But,
I don't think there was any accountability being pointed towards you.
No,
I think you worked very hard to try and
support
support these things. But obviously, when it does all fall down, Colin has already said we will point the finger at you. He didn't say that. No, he didn't say that. Just for the camera, he didn't say that. I meant that.
Well, sorry, it's on there now.
So
I'll edit it and join 2 bits together.
Does councillors want the same thing to apply?
well, I mean, we're not talking about a lot of amendments there. Are we wanting to look at it again, or are we happy to, with those changes, agree and adopt it? Councillor Brown?
I think I'll just do both together next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I just suggest, as Councillor Creedy has come up with these good ideas, is why don't you just email Colin, like I did with the amendments. Colin will tell you that there were red bits all over the thing when I was doing it.
I was sticking with you, had very little to do with the writing of it, but if you want to say you won't most of it.
No, I didn't write it, I amended it because I made many spelling mistakes.
Okay, so we'll come back to these in next town council.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Yeah. Excellent. Thank you. And thanks everyone there. Okay, moving on to number 10. 20 mile speed limit for members to discuss a proposal of a 20 mile an hour speed limit along Crowden Road, Suffolk County Council 20 mile an hour policy attached. Councillor Mason.
Okay, by way of explanation, Chair, why have I asked this to be put on the agenda? I'm more than happy to inflict upon the town projects like drop curbs and that improve accessibility and things like zebra crossings and pedestrian crossings. I think when it comes to speed limits, I think it demands not just consultation with the road, with the people who live along the road, but also the town council. 20 mile an hour speed limits are by nature something that divides councillors. I'm of the personal opinion that this particular road qualifies in my book as being appropriate for looking at a 20 mile an hour speed limit for 2 reasons. Firstly, there is a school, and if there isn't a 20 is plenty policy outside that school, that's something that the school themselves could ask for. Secondly, the pinch point, which is at the bottom of Crowland Road, the Withersfield Road junction, there is a feeling that sometimes cars go too quickly down there, and the quantity of residents that have wanted to see something happen on Crowland Road kind of made me feel that this is something that now that we've got a new policy for the County Council would be good to bring. I know I'm not the only councillor who has been lobbied. I know councillors, both Councillor Smiths and even previous county councillors. Part of the issue is funding. Having said that, a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit potentially is more affordable than more physical measures. Active travel, which is part of Suffolk County Council, could be lobbied. As you know that I've got these zebra crossings and pedestrian crossings going in on Suffolk Regiment Way. There is a pot of money. It's not really on their list. I have asked them to look at it, but that is something that the Town Council could actually lobby as well. So I'm all ears, I'm listening to discussions. In terms of implementation, it would fall to whoever the next county councillor is for that division, if they were to fund it. I won't be for that part. That wouldn't fall into the area that I'll be standing for.
Thank you. Councillor Smith?
Yeah, for anything to make the road safe. I just wasn't sure really whether we meant the whole road or just the area by the school. As Councillor Mason said, there is a 20 plenty policy already in place that the school could ask to implement. I'll struggle to see how you can do more than 20 miles an hour down the narrow Wimmersfield Road anyway, because that's always very difficult to get through. I think one thing that would make it a lot safer is to make it more clear that there is no right turn into Crowland Road from Wimmersfield Road. That would help. But yeah, I think it's really got to be the residents that make the final decision on this, if there is the will to do this. The costs to do the survey, though, is that borne by the Town Council, or is it by the residents themselves? Because it says community.
Or the county council can fund it as well, but we've got that facility to do a speed analysis. Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking online around this. What it said that there had been a speed survey, a traffic survey done in 2025 over the course of 2 weeks. Said the mean average speed in Crowland Road was about 21 to 22 miles per hour. The 85th percentile speed was around 28 miles per hour. Now, I didn't know if that was from your figures, John. Do you know where that came from?
What county council would that be?
It was something like that I commissioned.
Oh, you did, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, there is some background.
Okay.
Thank you. Information around that.
Councillor Green.
Yeah, I think outside the school is a good thing, but down the bottom, I don't think this is going to resolve the residents' concerns. Personally, I don't think it's the scheme they're looking for. It's not going to slow anyone down as they try to navigate that really congested area. There'd be no enforcement of it anyway, even if cars were doing 40 miles an hour. Who's going to enforce it? Really, it probably does need to be made one way, and that's what I would support. But yeah, I just don't see this working.
Okay. Councillor Mason and Councillor Brown.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue the point. For me, it's about listening to different councillor viewpoints. I think some of the resident concerns are when it is less busy and the speed of traffic when it's not congested. The speed of traffic down that part of Wimmersfield Road during the day when you've got oncoming traffic. Yes, you're right. It's quite a lot slower then, but I think residents feel it might be more optical, but because it's a pinch point, any speed of any vehicle feels particularly fast. And I think sometimes it's about the perception of safety and having things in place that give reassurance. But you're right, it's not enforceable. There is some data to show that 20-mile-an-hour limits do actually lower the mean average speed of vehicles. But whether they stick to that 20 is beside the point. And I think the other thing is, there are different zones within Crowlands Road. So there are some parts which are much wider, where cars tend to pick up speeds, especially around the school. And as regards one way, I've argued and argued until I'm blue in the face. Highways will not do it because it's seen as one of the significant arterial routes into the centre of town.
Okay, Councillor Brown, Burns. Sorry, got it wrong once.
That's it. Treaty one, you mean?
Burns.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one-way thing, I was doing this 10 years ago. There's always certain people who said, oh, it should be one way, but it is a main arterial road. We don't have the option. You know, if we'd have built the road through Lower Down Slade as we wanted to in 2005, I think it would be a lot different. I know from great experience of using the speed device, like Dudley Hill, for example, where you have to wait for vehicles. The actual average, 85% was below 30 mile an hour, but the residents would say, oh, people are speeding up here all the time. Yes, you get the occasional one, of course you do. And I think, I think it's got to be evidence-based. Yes, you might put pressure things on the road, which do tell you, obviously, what the speed is, what the type of vehicle it is, in fact. And I was just looking at Google Maps, there's, for example, there is a lamppost quite low down towards Withersfield Road. We could possibly put it on there, for those directions to find out if, as long as, it can pick up the vehicles. I agree strongly with the 20 to plenty outside the school. I think that should be on all schools, to be honest with you, not just that area. I'm a little bit surprised.
Sorry, the alarms are going on.
I thought you just got bored of me. So I'm more than happy to try and do that. The trouble is I've also got some other locations like down Eastern Avenue, and every time I go down Eastern Avenue to do something, somebody's digging up the road, so there's either traffic lights on, there's no point doing anything. This is one of the problems we got. So we want that particular, or any other site, we can do that. They're sitting at home gathering dust at the moment. I have got some other places. The police want me to do School Lane example up there, Withersfield Road again. So if that's something that we want to do, just to prove what the actual speeds are, and equally the data you found, which I have asked county in the past for that data, is possibly more than accurate as well. It's only a year old, isn't it?
Yes, they spent 2 weeks doing the surveys.
Yeah. A big problem with enforcement, what I just want to say, is enforcement from Suffolk Speed Cam. They come down to only certain parts of the town. They will spend no more than 1 hour in each location to try and capture people. It tends to be arterial roads, Bumpstead Road, those sort of roads, Batting Road, not necessarily arguably residential roads. Thank you.
Councillor Smith? Liz Smith.
I've had several residents contact me over the last couple of years about that road, and their perception is that they do speed down there. Whether or not there's evidence to show that is a different matter, but I think, as someone said, at quiet times of the day you can get people that are racing down that road, because when there are occasions when the parking is clear or clearer and they just zoom down there. There have been incidents reported of people clashing because they haven't given away to other cars, and there's been incidents of antisocial behaviour that's been reported to me. So, which I've obviously told them to go to the police with regards to those sort of antisocial behaviour stuff that's going on, but it's always difficult to catch people doing that. So I think even if we had done the survey first among the residents and then had a 20 mile an hour limit, that would give some reassurance, I think, to residents that we are trying to do something in that area, even though we can't necessarily make it one way. I agree with Councillor Smith's words about the signage to stop people turning right into there. We saw a couple of cars do it the other day, didn't we? Better signage for that as well would be useful. Thank you.
I'll come to Councillor Martin in a second. I mean, I hear what you're saying, so I've just thought, okay, we need to reflect on the evidence, the feelings of those that live on that road, the need and wants. I know whatever my opinion is to some extent doesn't really matter because I don't live on that road. But travelling down it on a regular basis, I rarely get beyond 10 miles an hour because you have to stop so often. So in terms of I mean, I think we're sort of in a bit of a catch-22. I don't support the idea of 20-mile zones, but it's not about what I want, it's about what the residents may need. I would worry about whether then we would broaden that horizon by putting one there, whether people say, oh, we should have it here and here and here, which I'm very much against. But I think, again, the flip side, we put it down, and if it's not enforceable, it makes it a bit of a frivolous effort, except, like I would agree with what Councillor Smith just said, it's seemingly something we're trying to do. But I think along that road there's so many things that we could say are an issue. The parking is an absolute nightmare. At school times, I mean, I'm sure that's far more unsafe at school times, whether it was a 20-mile-an-hour zone or not, because they park so badly that I think the fact is there's so many issues along that road, and I don't know whether a 20-mile-an-hour zone would actually be the problem, or whether and I'm just trying to think what other unintended consequences there might be. But I mean, I think it's a case of, for me, we need to listen to the residents and what they say. Councillor Martin and Councillor Mason.
Thank you. You've said most of what I was going to say, Mr. Mayor. Nobody has mentioned that at the very bottom, as you come down towards Withersfield Road, there's a right-of-way for cars to go into the back of the houses that face on the terraced houses that face onto Withersfield Road. There's a rear access there. So you get cars, I know for a fact there is because I have a family member who lives there. You have cars who go in there. There are garages in there as well. So cars drive in to access their garage and the rear of their property. They also come out and will come out and will turn up Cronin Road as well as down, causing a huge problem. Now, I'm not in favour particularly of 20 miles an hour because how would it be implemented? Who would enforce it? I live in Mill Road, which is a one-way road coming down from Helens Park Avenue. Every day, without fail, at least 10, 12 cars go up that road, constantly. If you're coming out with your car and you stop, they will verbally abuse you. How dare you, I didn't see the signs, I didn't do this. It's all to do with drivers and how this will be implemented. 20 miles an hour, they will still come down at 40. If you drive up a one-way street continuously, it doesn't say much for speed limits and putting that in place. 20 miles an hour, if that's what the residents think will help them, all well and good, but I have my reservations about it, particularly living in a street that is one way, and it's an absolute nightmare.
I would agree, and I think the fact is we're not doing anything this for today. It's really is for discussion, and I'm assuming then we would do.
It's what's up on there. And so if councillors think we should take the next step, then the next step is to engage with the community liaison engineer in the first instance. And then it's also about contacting all residents to find out whether they would support it.
Okay, Councillor Mason.
The changing policies of the County Council was an attempt to recognise that across the county there are communities that are blighted by 20 mile an hour speed limits. The purpose of me bringing this to the Town Council, are blighted by cars going faster than through their villages. And so this policy was very much an attempt to give rural parishes some say if that's what they really wanted, that they could have. So by bringing it to the Town Council, it gives an open forum for discussion as to whether you think it is appropriate. I am not a fan of 20 mile an hour speed limits. I'm not. But where it is appropriate is outside schools and in places where there are pinch points, and yes, it's not enforceable. There is some evidence to suggest that a 20 mile an hour speed limit drops the average mean speed of vehicles. It isn't a fix-all. All I am saying is I could not get funding for race tables, speed bumps, because the data didn't support it. I think the qualifying nature of the 20 mile an hour speed limit is a little bit more generous, and probably is one of the only things that is achievable from highways point of view. Especially with active travel around the active travel team around the part of the school. In fact, it might be possible that active travel would fund the 2020 scheme, particularly on that part of Crowland Road. Me throwing it to the town council is actually, I'm empowering you. I don't want to have to enforce this on the council or do something without your consultation. To be honest, you don't really need me now. You could make the decision, get the data, and then lobby whoever the county councillor is to help them fund it, whatever that thing is. I'm just throwing it out there as to what the town council wants to do next.
Councillor Smith and Councillor Hammond.
Just a point of clarification, something just said. You said that we have to engage with the community liaison engineer and then go to the residents.
It's so the way it's read, it could be read either way, but it says county councils are encouraged to engage with the community liaison engineer in the first instance. I don't know whether they actually mean the first instance after they've established through a parish survey that there would be support for it.
So this showed a clear support from the parish survey.
Yeah.
And then
it doesn't say then. It's a different sentence. It just says county council encouraged to engage the community liaison engineer. I don't know whether that's an afterthought, and they think because what I assume is
event that you read one sentence and then there's a sort of timeline.
Well, you would have thought so, but I didn't know whether this meant that the community liaison engineer would look at the road and say, well, you can't, that won't work there, that won't work there, you can't do that. Don't ask the public if they can have it, because they won't be able to have it, we'll only be saying no to them. I can kind of get that. That makes sense to make sure it's practically possible. I don't know, am I misreading that? I don't.
I think I can see that making sense. I mean, I suppose I would have asked local community what their thoughts are, but I also consider if they say it can't happen because of this, and this, then there's no discussion to be had with local community.
Exactly.
We're not saying
but if you go down the road where they just come up with some idea and the residents say, no, we don't want that, then that's just resident.
No. I think what it's saying is the fact that we discuss it and they say, actually, no, these are the things you could do. Now go and talk to local communities to say these are the things that can be done. But if they say we want a 20 mile an hour zone and it can't be done, then there's no point trying to get their hopes up of what can change. I think that's what they're saying. Yeah, well, Councillor Hammond.
Yeah, funny enough, I came past the school today, just before they was turning out, and you can just about get one car all the way down that road, all the way from the top right to the very bottom. And as I was coming round, the people, the school, waiting for their children from school, parking on double yellow lines, even sticking out in the road so that you could really have trouble if you've got a big car or whatever to get through. So 20 mile an hour, you can't do more than 20 mile an hour unless you're a kamikaze pilot going through there, because it is so thin to get through there. It really is. It's just, mind you, I was in a white car I was driving, but the 20 mile an hour I can't, because it's only there, needs to be there for school turnout, isn't it? Or going in. It's not needed for any other time of the day, really, is it?
Can I make a suggestion then, based on this, is that if we engage the, what are they called?
The community liaison
The community liaison and see what they come back with, that gives us an element of at least looking what they're suggesting, and then we can engage, like it says there, with the community. Because I think I'm not for 20 mile an hour zones, but I think I have to put the head on, I think similar to Councillor Mason said and Councillor Smith, if the community wants something, we need to be shown we're doing that and listening to their thoughts. So that's where my thoughts are, what we should do. Councillor Mason.
I'm very happy to give the details of the community liaison engineer. I would also recommend, I will also offer the contact details for the active travel team, because they, I know, are looking at the school and trying to find ways in which that can be made safer at pick-up time. So it might be a suitable conversation, not only with the CLE, but also the active travel team.
Okay. Councillor Stitch.
Could someone ask about a school safety zone, which is the 20s plenty as exists up in Burton End? Because that's only an advisory to it. The 20 is not enforceable in any way, shape or form, and has totally different signage.
With the active travel, just maybe.
Well, are they interested in school safety zones or just physical layout on the road?
Normally, the 20s plenty is initiated by the school. But that doesn't mean necessarily that the town council or parish council can't actually go and raise that themselves.
So could I make a suggestion, and I don't know if we need to vote on it, but start saying is that if you were to find out information from them to engage them and bring it back to another meeting for us to discuss it further based on that, we'd all be happy if we did that. Is anyone against that? I think I should probably say, if anyone against that, then we need to discuss it more. If we're happy just to proceed.
I'm not against. Can I ask Councillor Brown again? Those facts, figures you've got, I don't know where you got them from. Did you get them, Councillor Mason or something?
Yeah, I think it's from Suffolk County Council.
Okay, because I'd like that. I've got it today because we're interested to see what it said. But it's interesting, you made it at 20 mile an hour down there. Yeah. The police will not do anything unless it's 24 mile an hour or more, at least. And if it's already 24 mile an hour, is that what figure you said?
Yeah, I was just doing some research and it came up and it said that the mean average speed on Croydon Road is 21 to 22 miles per hour.
Okay, and the 85?
85th percentile is around 28 miles per hour.
Okay, so that's way below the 35 that you...
Yeah.
That's pretty much what you could expect from compliance with the 21 miles.
Yeah.
Already.
So they wouldn't enforce it?
That was from the traffic survey carried out over 2 weeks in 2025.
Can you send it to us?
At the school then?
Was it on the website?
I found just come across it.
Well, I mean, I think we've got to at least a conclusion that Colin can go and speak to and bring something back for us to tenuously talk about and see where we can go from there. I'm conscious of the time, so we'll go on to point 11. Historic Building Preservation Trust. This was something that I think Joe raised last meeting. So to consider convening a group of councillors to form a task force and finish group with a brief to explore the establishment of a charitable body to work to bring derelict buildings back into use in and around Haverhill. Discuss. Councillor Mason.
Thank you. There's possibly one slight change of wording I'd like councillors to consider, and members of the public. I don't think the wording of that actually incorporates a community element, which I would recommend as a working party, because there is a lot of interest in the community. I'm happy for Colin to give an update on a conversation that we had recently, if that's where it comes.
Yeah, sorry, the membership does include members of the public.
Inviting members of the public. Oh, sorry.
Does there not on the agenda?
It's not on the agenda, Colin, that was all.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
So, yes, Tony Brennan.
Yeah, 100% support would be fantastic. But the big thing that this hinges on would be the involvement of West Suffolk Council's conservation officer, because that's the sadly lacking thing that we've had over the last 10 to 15 years. You know, we've highlighted buildings that need work doing. We've emailed the conservation officer repeatedly. We get very little feedback and very little support. So, you know, that's the big thing with this. We need to really get them, West Suffolk Council, on board, and the conservation officer. Okay. They've got the powers to enforce, you know, these buildings to be repaired, etc.
Okay. Councillor Mason, did you have something to add to that? You would like you were...
I'll come back after.
Okay, Councillor Brown.
I think, I'm not going to repeat what Councillor Brown just said, but I think it's very important that somebody in West Suffolk, higher than a conservation officer, tells them to actually respond to emails, do work. They will make every excuse under the sun why they can't do something. You know, the Corn Exchange being a classic example where, the owners are going to do something, and we'll sit on it for another 3 years. And we know it never happens. So I think it's very important. I mean, I know when you talk about inviting members of the public, I would argue that perhaps somebody from the history group would be a good candidate for that. But equally, they should be acting now without having a task group or building a preservation trust or whatever you want to call it. So things like the Corn Exchange, because it's been reported, I've reported it over 20 times, not an answer from any of them, and that's over the last 10 years. They did a little bit of work, not, you know, I don't know, 8-9 years ago. Obviously all the plans we've had, not only the town council, other individuals, Councillor Brown, myself and others were working on a project over 10 years ago. So I think, in terms of, you mentioned assets and analysis, and interesting where you say, oh, they're not talking. Actually, they are talking because the owner died. So they're completely different things. So they aren't actually now talking about redeveloping the site. There is no preservation of the place at all. English Heritage have rejected any Grade 2 listed, or like they've rejected the whole site, even the Silk Hills they've got rid of, so that's bad news.
It's a conservation area.
Can I just go across, because what I'm conscious of the time, and actually more to really focus on the fact that it's really about us focusing on, do we want to set up a group regarding this? And there's a lot of detailed things.
Depends on what we can do.
It does depend on what we can do, and I'm not taking away anything you were saying. I'm just thinking the fact is, if we just consider it something we want to do, all we need to do is then look at putting forward people that want to be part of that group, and then this part would be done. And now I will come to Councillor Smith. Did you want to?
Yeah, I just wanted to say the goal on 6, the goal, and it says about Corn Exchange, Ashton Ellis and Fox Public House for reuse. I'm assuming that under this same group, we could look at potential other buildings. It's not just.
I would assume that that's what we're suggesting. This is just
in the first instance.
In the first instance, yeah.
Okay, so it will include others. That's fine.
Okay, Councillor Mason.
Okay, so a preservation society can apply for funding to purchase a site in its entirety, and then apply for grant funding for its improvement. One of the difficulties with this site is there isn't a business case for anybody to take this on to try and turn a profit. Historically, England's opinion of the Corn Exchange was that it was worth saving, and it was worth purchasing and doing up, even if it then meant selling it on at a loss, because the gain of having a building brought back into the community. Haverhill does have a rich history, but we don't have an awful lot of historic buildings. This one is deteriorating. A preservation society is a different route to explore. Now, it may well fail, but not trying, I think it would be a mistake. And the idea of a working party is to try and explore all options.
So, well, I was going to suggest, do we have a quick vote to say, are we in favour of this group?
I'd like to propose it, Chair.
You'd like to propose it, okay, and you're seconding it? Okay, can we have a vote on that then, please? Okay, anybody against? No, that's agreed. Now, the other thing is yes.
I propose suspending standing orders, so it would be
the meeting now. Yes.
Okay.
Standing order 3. So you suspend standing order 3.
Oh, okay.
So you can extend the meeting beyond.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we've reached 9 o'clock, which is our limit. So I propose, or can somebody propose whether we suspend standing? Oh, you just did. Okay. Can we have a second for that then, please? Councillor Smith, can we have a vote for that then, please? Thank you, everybody. Right. So the next thing is, do we want to sort of...
If there's 3 councillors on to...
So I was going to suggest, are we talking about membership now? Of that?
Yes.
Sorry.
So in terms of, I don't know what the other would be, is there anybody who would be interested in being part of that group?
Sorry, Chairman, before we move on, somebody mentioned about the owners. Who owns, do we know who owns the Climate Exchange?
Yeah.
You do know who owns it? Is it
But they've
owned-
never answered any correspondence.
Are they in this country?
No, some are.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So that's the problem.
Got any influences?
Not that, well,
We'll send her over.
tell, this reminds me later.
So,
Volunteers.
yes, any people volunteering to want to be part of that group? But all rush at once. Councillor Smith, Councillor Martin and Councillor Mason, and I'll put myself forward happy to as well.
And can we invite interested members of the community and I've passed those details
We have
to you?
those lists, yeah.
No. Okay, so I think we've got some here, so thank you very much. I appreciate that being put forward. Item 12, Town Centre Manager. To note that West Suffolk Council has agreed to match fund the post of Town Centre Manager. And B, to note the intended role, see attached draft description, and authorise the personnel committee to start the recruitment process. Councillor Brown.
Can we speak on this at all?
Absolutely.
I noticed in there that didn't seem to be any sort of performance indicators around here, what they're aiming to do. The town centre manager, i.e. how we can measure how good a job they're doing and what effect they're having. So what about measures, i.e. increasing town centre footfall, number of engaged businesses? If whoever gets a job can make a note of these things so we get a report every quarter. So, any increase in town centre footfall, 2, number of engaged businesses, number 3, events attended and the impact that they have, reduction in vacant units, social media reach, engagement, if they can do that, and business satisfaction feedback, from the businesses in the town centre to actually feedback to what value they think they're getting from the town centre manager. And it's something that we could, if we get those figures every quarter, we can actually see what effect our money's having, and we can keep an eye on stuff.
Good.
If that's okay.
Chair, the one that rings alarm bells is the very first one, increasing footfall. I'm not aware we have any baseline figures.
We should have those,
as a way of
shouldn't we?
counting. Newmarket has some form of detectors that West Suffolk put into Newmarket to be able to count it.
Yeah. But I think that's something that we should
that.
do. Yeah.
But that could be something they explore as part of that.
Yeah, so I'm giving you these points, use them as you wish, but I think if we're getting someone in and we're paying them, we need those sort of performance indicators.
No, I agree. And plus, we're also looking that they go beyond just the town centre to make sure shopping and engaging businesses.
Yeah,
and
so we're getting figures every quarter that we can actually examine and tweak things.
And one of my thoughts when
it's for their benefit and ours, obviously.
When this was first talked about, was also they were looking to improve the town centre, that this person could also continue to try and find funding to continue a process that where I might not be in place, none of us might be, but their job is to continue that work and make sure things do improve. But yeah, I think all your thoughts were fantastic. Thank you, appreciate that. Councillor Mason and then Councillor Phillips.
Councillor Brown's point touches upon a consequence of the amended budget at West Suffolk Council. When I was writing that, we were asking for an evidence base regarding vehicle stays, duration of stays and all of that, but also evidence of increased footfall. That's given West Suffolk Council the problem of having to actually collect the data of footfall, not in the car parks, in the businesses, because the contention of the motion was we want to drive footfall. So how do we measure the footfall? So I would recommend not necessarily doing double the work unnecessarily and trying to tap into what West Suffolk Council are going to have to try and do to provide an evidence base based off the back of the amended budget motion.
It's a jointly funded project, so I'm sure they'd agree with you.
Okay, Councillor Birds, yes, I did.
Yeah, sorry. 2 things. well, three things. I should agree with what's been said already. We've had town centre managers before, obviously. My big problem is there's nothing in here about how the businesses themselves are going to contribute financially or actively. And yes, you might work with them, but it may all be one-sided. That really worries me. Secondly, or thirdly really, is we keep talking about town centre all the time. There's a load of businesses around the town that are retail based in all these local centres, and we're getting new local centres.
But we have just said that. We have just said they won't just deal with it's called
no,
the town, but we've said that it's going to go beyond that.
Everything says town centre manager, town centre this, town centre that. And what we don't want, we want them to represent all businesses in the town. And that's what they should be doing. Yes, it may not match what West Suffolk want to do, but we're not overly bothered about that other than the funding. But I think really we need to really get that sorted, because I had complaints last time when we had this town centre manager before, is that businesses around the town were just got no representation, and their local areas are just being downgraded all the time because all the money is being spent in the town centre. A bit like our town centre thing, which I've also brought up there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, just remind councillors, the second purpose of the job is to support the interests of business beyond the town centre, where there's a common interest.
I agree, but it's not emphasised enough, it's my view.
Well, I mean, none of them have extra emphasis.
No, I just think everything else is better.
Organising to benefit town centre.
I think so. As part of that, John, I think is it possible we could just look at how we can reword it to make sure that it seems more inclusive? Is that okay?
But the trouble is, if you call it town manager.
No, I'm not asking. No, that makes it too. They're in charge of the whole town, which is not the case. Sorry.
Councillor Smith.
To be frivolous here, what if we had a bid? Then the businesses would have to contribute, wouldn't they?
Businesses rejected it.
Well, they had a vote on it, voted to reject it.
It was a big mistake. I think businesses voted against that. But it was compared with the other towns, if you listen.
No, that's
A lot of bids around.
Councillor Stitchcombe. Councillor Stitchcombe.
Oh, sorry. All I wanted to say was 3 words, town business manager, but I think I've been shouted down by Councillor.
No, business, that's the one.
Okay. All right, well that's...
Town business manager. So it just takes the emphasis off.
Yeah, so what we can do is obviously one of the things that will come up is we're looking them to look at the recruitment, they can look at that, but certainly something that can be guided towards. Councillor Mason?
There are a lot of moving parts at the moment. We've got the High Street Enhancement Group, we've got parking for the first hour free, we've got the town centre manager. I wonder whether at some point we should have a working group in terms of a strategic view of what the town council wants for the town. There are enterprise zones that can be set up that include industrial estates, but also can include town centres. We haven't explored whether an enterprise zone could be something that actually benefits local businesses. There's a number of benefits that can be brought about regarding tax breaks, simplified planning. In terms of how we support our business community, I wonder, because of all these different moving parts, we've got a lot going on, which is great, but there could be an opportunity to have a much more strategic vision that I don't necessarily feel that we're getting from West Suffolk. Now, it might be that we could tap into West Suffolk and support West Suffolk with what we're after. But what I'm saying is, I think that there is scope for having a broader discussion as a town council or working group about actually what are all the options on the table to help drive growth in the town.
My suggestion then would, if this person's in place, would be nice for them to come in and get some thoughts and hear from us what we'd like to see them trying to achieve. That would be quite nice.
Possibly a group around guiding with what that person's doing as well.
Councillor Furman.
Do we actually employ someone yet as a town centre?
No. So basically, one of the things we wanted to do in a minute is basically give the personnel committee permission to start the process.
Do we need one?
I think we do. That's my personal view.
How many years now?
Well, you could argue lots of things about the fact, do the businesses, are they working together? Is our town centre successful? The market isn't successful. Lots of things that really need to change. And I think this is only my view. I know you've had it before. I think the fact is it's something for me. I think if we're going to look at getting a town centre that's going to be working and beyond, we need something finding funding and investing their time to see if we can make something happen. If it doesn't work, what happens? Well, we carry on as we are, and we know every high street in the country is struggling. So by doing nothing, we change nothing. So all my only thoughts are, by trying it, we see if
we just waste a lot of money.
Well, I would hope the fact is if we're looking at it from a short-term point of view, that is there a benefit? And I think one of the things that Councillor Brown said, I think looking at all the measures, is there an impact? Obviously, if we're not seeing any impact, then I think the fact is we need to look at how we move that forward or we don't move it forward. I think from your comment, I would agree that it needs to be looked at. I would feel we do need one, and I think it would be handy, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be successful. So on that basis, where I think it was a good point to raise, can I have someone propose about the personnel committee now start the process? Thank you.
I'll propose it.
Can we have a second? Councillor Smith, can we have a vote on that one, please? Councillor Smith. Anyone against? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you. That's fine. Thank you very much. Right, on to 13, adoption of committee reports. Leisure and Community to move to adoption of minutes of the meeting held 3rd March 2026, and any recommendations contained therein is attached. Are you proposing? Proposed by Councillor Byrne, seconded by Councillor Stitchcombe. All those in favour? Thank you very much. Being planning to move to the adoption of the minutes of the meeting held 9th of March 2026, and any recommendations contained therein. Can I propose it, please? Councillor Martin, seconder. Councillor Dave Smith, and can I have a vote on that one, please? Thank you very much. Okay, county elections. This is just to note that the pre-election period for the Suffolk County Council elections in May 2026 commences on the 27th of March 2026. This restricts what councils can do, but not councillors, as long as they do not use council resources. Okay, there's a link there for us to be obviously clear about any thoughts on that, questions. Okay, thank you very much. Date of the next meeting, Tuesday 28th of April. And 16 is the exclusion of press and public to resolve under the Public Bodies Admissions to Meetings Act 1960. The public and representatives of the press and broadcast media are excluded from the meeting during the consideration of the following items of business, as publicity would be prejudicial to the public's interest due to the confidential nature of the business to be transacted, personal matters and bids for contracts. I'll propose second, please, Councillor Sarah. All those in favour? Thanks very much.